Long ago, in a quiet village surrounded by thick forests and red earth roads, there lived people who believed that every secret had a spirit. The elders often warned, "A hidden truth grows heavier than a stone on the heart. One day, it will demand to be carried." But like many warnings, the young rarely listened. And in that village lived a boy whose confession would one day change everything. His name was Kola. Kola was known throughout the village of Itoro as a quiet boy. He was not the strongest among the children, nor the fastest runner, but he possessed something rare, a kind heart. His father, Bobe Ode, was a respected farmer who owned fertile yam fields along the riverbanks. His mother, Mama Sot, sold palm oil and smoked fish at the village market. But Kola carried a secret fear. He hated disappointing his father. Bobe Ode believed that a boy must grow into a strong and honorable man. He often said, "A man's name is his shadow. Once it is stained, the sun cannot wash it clean." Kola always nodded, but deep inside he feared the day he might fail. And that day came sooner than he expected. One afternoon, while the sun burned fiercely over the land, Kola and his best friend Tan wandered near Bobe Ode's yam farm. The farm was sacred to Bobe Ode. No child was allowed to enter. The yams were large and healthy, the pride of his hard work. Tan nudged Kola. "Let us go inside," he whispered. Kola shook his head immediately. "No. My father will be angry." "But temptation has a strange voice." Tan laughed. "Are you afraid? We only want to see the biggest yam." After several moments of hesitation, Kola followed. They stepped carefully between the ridges of soil. The farm smelled rich with earth and growing roots. Then Tan saw it. The largest yam in the entire field. "Let us dig it out," he said excitedly. Kola's eyes widened. "We cannot. My father will know." But Tan had already begun digging. The soil crumbled easily. Soon the huge yam emerged like treasure from the earth. The boy stared at it in awe. But suddenly, crack! The yam split as Tan tried to pull it out. Silence fell. They had destroyed the best yam in Bobe Ode's farm. Tan dropped it. "Run." And they did. That evening Bobe Ode walked through his farm. When he saw the broken yam, his heart sank. It was the largest harvest of the season, meant to be presented at the upcoming New Yam Festival. Without it, his honor among the elders would be lost. He returned home with a dark face. At dinner he asked quietly, "Did anyone go near my farm today?" Kola froze. His heart pounded loudly. Mama Sot looked around the room. "No," she answered calmly. Bobe Ode sighed deeply. "Someone destroyed my best yam." The room went silent. Kola felt his chest tighten. The truth sat on his tongue. But fear sealed his lips. "I did not see anyone," he whispered. And with that lie, a seed of tragedy was planted. The next morning, the village buzzed with rumors. Tracks had been seen near the farm. The elders suspected a traveler who had arrived the previous day. He was a quiet hunter named Obina, resting on his journey. Without proof, suspicion quickly turned into blame. The village guards dragged him before the council. "I did nothing," Obina cried. But the elders were angry. Stealing from a farmer before the New Yam Festival was a grave offense. They demanded punishment. Kola watched from the crowd. His stomach twisted. He knew the truth. But he also imagined his father's disappointment. So he remained silent. And silence became his greatest mistake. Obina was imprisoned in a small hut near the forest edge. He would remain there until the elders decided his fate. Meanwhile, Kola could no longer sleep peacefully. Every night he heard echoes of Obina's desperate voice. "I did nothing." The words followed him like shadows. His mother noticed the change. "Kola, what troubles you?" she asked gently. "Nothing," he replied. "But guilt grows heavier every day." Soon even the forest seemed to whisper his secret. The New Yam festival arrived. Villagers gathered in colorful clothing. Drums echoed through the air. But Boba Ode stood among the farmers with lowered eyes. Without his largest yam, he had nothing to present. Other farmers displayed massive harvests. The elders praised them. Boba Ode remained silent. Kola saw the disappointment on his father's face. It pierced his heart like a spear. At that moment he almost spoke. Almost. But fear held him again. That night the oldest man in the village, Elder Balagan, told a story by the fire. It was a tale about a boy who hid the truth until it destroyed many lives. His final words chilled the listeners. The longer a confession sleeps, the more people it wakes when it rises. Kola felt those words like thunder inside his chest. He could barely breathe. He knew the story was meant for him. Days later, the council reached a verdict. They would banish Obina from the village at sunrise. Banishment was cruel. Travelers often died alone in the wilderness. Kola overheard the elders discussing it. His legs became weak. He realized something terrible. An innocent man would suffer because of his silence. That night he could no longer endure the weight. He decided to confess. But destiny had already begun its cruel work. At dawn the villagers gathered. Obina stood tied with rope. The guards prepared to escort him away. Just as they began to walk, a voice shouted from the crowd. "Wait!" Everyone turned. It was Kola. His body trembled. I must speak." Boba Ode looked confused. "What is it, my son?" Tears filled Kola's eyes. "The traveler is innocent." Gasps spread through the crowd. The chief frowned. "Then who destroyed the yam?" Kola swallowed painfully. "I did." The entire village fell silent. Boba Ode's face turned pale. "You," he whispered. Kola nodded slowly. "I went to the farm with Tund. The yam broke when we pulled it." The chief's voice grew stern. "Why did you remain silent?" Kola's tears flowed freely. "I was afraid." The elders murmured among themselves. Elder Balagan finally spoke. "Truth delayed is still truth, but its price grows." Obina was released immediately. But the consequences had already spread like fire. Boba Ode walked away from the crowd without speaking. Kola ran after him. "Father, please forgive me." Boba Ode stopped but did not turn around. His voice sounded tired. "You feared my anger more than you feared injustice." Kola sobbed. "I am sorry." But Boba Ode simply said, "A lie that harms another man is heavier than any broken yam." Those words crushed Kola's spirit. The elders gathered again. They declared that Kola must perform 3 years of labor for the village as punishment. He would repair farms, fetch water, and serve the community. But the real punishment was something deeper. The villagers no longer trusted him. Every whisper carried the same words. His silence almost killed an innocent man. Kola worked tirelessly. Under the burning sun. Through rainy seasons. He repaired farms and helped farmers. But nothing erased the shadow of his mistake. Even his friendship with Tan disappeared. Tan had fled the village out of fear when the truth was revealed. Kola carried the burden alone. 3 years later, Obina returned to the village. He had heard about Kola's punishment and wanted to see the boy. Kola expected anger. But Obina surprised him. "You saved my life," he said calmly. Kola shook his head. "No. I almost destroyed it." Obina smiled sadly. Truth always arrives late, but it still saves what it can. Kola fell to his knees crying. Years later, Kola became one of the wisest men in the village. Whenever children gathered around the fire, he told them the story of his youth. He never hid his shame. And he always ended with the same warning. The price of confession is painful. But the price of silence is far worse. The villagers never forgot his story. And in Aitoro, whenever someone hesitated to tell the truth, the elders would whisper, "Remember Kola, and the price of confession."